My friends, do you believe in communism, in Beyond All Reason? Well, this lobby does not. There will be no communism here. So says Hayaji, as it is a game of skill. It is a game of pizzazz. It is not a game of pooled resources. We see what Bar used to be in this game of no communism. There is no Stalin, there is no Mao. It is simply the forces of capitalism at work here, and we shall see the chaos that ensues. With Spooky Dookie on air, Aggressor in the difficult rainbow position. We've got Hayaji, leader of the southern team. Finally, we have here Panic, very high OS actually, and Purple, which I'm not going to pronounce this. Very solid lineup, recognise many of those players. On the top team, we have Bully Bonker, high OS, White Syrup, high OS at 45. Over here we see Smile Haze, another high OS. It is a feature-packed front line. Finally, we end up on Tank Destroyer, OS 49, which is pretty reasonable for a 5-chef, with not even 1,000 hours. So tell me the secret to Tank Destroyer. Is it you're unbelievably good, or is it because you play with your buddies? As we look at the OS, we don't see too many low OS. It's all pretty high, and we can tell with the Chev ranks, it should be a rocking game, which it is going to be. So we see the move forward here from Vivi7, very patiently waiting for the guards to pass by these grunts. Clueless. Actually, sort of clued on. One of the grunts was like, what's that guy doing over there? I think they're the scouts, actually. They're not pushing forward at all. And we see the response back from behind. A face-off between a pawn and two grunts. Will we see this shut down? I believe we will. The main offence so far, the ticks quickly demolishing the one grunt remaining. We've got a solitary rover doing phenomenal amounts of damage here from Tank Destroyer. Going to be shut down finally. No, he gets away with it. Lives again. And we see a rover over here also taking down mexes. So just a couple of rovers being super annoying in the early game, which we all come to expect. We see a bombing here from Spooky Dookie, who so far has not managed to take down a single mex. Sorry I didn't show you guys that, but just so you know where the equation is. I'm not a fan of the single bomber. I think it doesn't have enough output when it can't even take down a mex reliably. I think 2 should be, yeah, as Analog says here, that bomber killed 1 mex. I don't even think it done that. It didn't take down anything. Here, a push forward from Tank Destroyer, trying to get the surround on the one incisor here. With all these rovers, not doing well though. The one incisor getting a lot of value. The one blitz not able to do much at all. So Tank Destroyer absolutely shut down. It's hard to see the scoreboard early on, but it looks like the North team has got the slight advantage. Very slightly, because we see White Syrup poking his head out here at Panic. The one Yanis getting repaired up. Oh, is it going to die? Oh, yes it is, unfortunately. Replaced right away by the second Yanis, not to fear. This is actually quite a threatening force from White Syrup. So an interesting choice here by White Syrup, who's building the Twin Guard to fend off artillery pieces. So let's see how that goes for him. Will it work out? Maybe. Maybe the Twin Guard is the meta response now to the vehicle artillery. Certainly it's got a longer range than the Thug, or has it? Sort of. It's a very annoyanced weapon system. One of the lasers goes out a long way, the other laser, which was responsible for half the DPS, goes very short way. Aggressor here, moving up, challenging the Northern team's boss man, Tank Destroyer, who's coming forward without any range, is just going to build a light laser turret up for. No, has cancelled that. It's still advancing. Like, what the hell? The self-confidence of this commander will not be denied. Takes down the whole team. Oh my god. Aggressor. Too aggressive by far. We've got here, I won't pronounce this, it's Enapapapa something, but this player is somewhat brown, and so shall be referred to as the colour brown. Moving down with these blitzers, about 6 of them. This is about, I don't know, how much is it? 660 metal exactly. We see a Blitz backing up, making it slightly more expensive a force. Takes down 1 mechs, takes down 2 mechs. Spooky Dookie trying to respond, is getting fired back at, and we can see 4 are remaining. Is it going to be able to do anything? We see 1 construction turret go down, 2 mexes, 660 metal. Not a fan of blitzes, guys. Not a fan. There is rarely a blitz move forward that works. In saying that, Aggressor threw away that T1 army, and Aggressor now is going to have a really hard time. Look at these forces. Look how... 2 die instantly to a waff of wind. One of them is on 0%, 2 hit points. This is Aggressor. Now, putting down our radar, seeing their imminent doom arriving any second now. What will be the response from Aggressor? Let's see. The radar down. Yes. The response is help. That is the response. So, always enfeebling to post that and pin the help. But it is the only option left for Aggressor, who doesn't want to let the team down by completely collapsing before saying help, which I think is the right call. Never be too proud. Hayaji at the moment is getting the message loud and clear, having half of their robots blown up by the Yanis, unfortunately. Severely overmatched. Over in the canyon, we have Panic here, pushing up against this force. White Syrup got a little bit low there, but did take down half of Panic's army. So, and might be able to resurrect that commander, as Panic, the commander, has been pushed back by these maces here. We already see here the grave robbers coming up to at least repair the thugs or reclaim the commander, either or. No, going for the full aggression and loses both grave robbers. A poor choice, but easy for me to say from the comfort of my chair. So the response from Hayaji has been a line of Dragon's Teeth. Unfortunately, the Constructor bot gets taken out. So really here we see a force mix of Yanis and Whistlers. At my advised ratio of 2-to-1. We also see a Shell Shocker, which is something a little bit different. So as we know, this is a very effective force, but only effective at skirmishing, not so much as pumping through and arriving at the enemy base. These Yanis shots go well over the walls and will be Aggressor's likely undoing, as the Whistlers. Some of them do. 2% might be able to get away from this. 3%. No, the commander runs out of power. 0%. There we go. There we go. What Tank Destroyer was looking for. Moving forward now with the commander. This is a massive break for the southern team. Or I should say the northern team. The southern team now are really up against it. We see 3 vehicles being the sole defensive force, and Tank Destroyer just slurping that metal up at an accelerated rate. So guys, I've said it before, if you haven't watched my videos before, what Tank Destroyer is doing here is very simple play, very effective. 2-to-1 ratio on the Whistler to Giannis, and winning the front and then reclaiming all the metal, and you're set up for the next part of the game. So we see this used by a better player than me by far. A Bull here arriving at the 11-minute 40 stage, which is crazy. I could never get it out this early. And Tank Destroyer showing who's boss, because the Bull is the ultimate counter to every single T1 unit, apart from perhaps the Tick, which we see moving forward now. And will it take down the Bull? No, it will not. Not even close. But a little bit of friendly fire, and the Bull's not looking so strong anymore. This is quite worrisome, because Hayaji is supposed to be guarding up here. Fortunately, he's receiving no pressure, as we see these laser towers being put down to try and protect the flanks, and oh no. Oh no. So if you ever push forward too much, you have to be really aware of your flanks. We see here Tank Destroyer and Brown's commander exposed, concentrating on the front line and kicking Hayaji's butt. But I think they've been outplayed here. Oh no. Doom moving forward. Tank Destroyer just not having the hit points to fend this off. Brown at the same position is going to get taken down in Tank Destroyer's explosion. Yes, pretty much. And, oh no, there we go. 2% health on the commander, never quite enough. Fortunately, the bulls are mostly salvage, being a much faster unit. The Blitz of Vengeance move down in a counterattack where we will see these blitzes do absolutely nothing, I'm pretty sure. No one gets through. Oh, Wild Doggy. We see more than one, actually. Well done. That's what I was doing. I was not using enough blitzes. You need 10 to force your way past one light laser tower. So there you go. Look at these bulls. Up against ticks. Yes, one's taken down. So showing themselves against 1,000 metal units, showing their value are the ticks. The bull response force, eventually from Hyaji, moves up here with a Jaguar to cover all eventualities. But the Jaguar's not having enough heft to put up with the Sheldon fire raining upon them at the 13-minute 57 mark. It's very early for these T2 units, guys. If we look at the stats here, we can see it. Because the metal advantage clearly goes to the North team, there has been some reclaim taken, and that early momentum equals early T2. Also, look at this. Very impressive. All these T2 mexes. So, Tank Destroyer off to a stellar start, while Hyaji is really struggling. Might I say, has been very good placement with the construction turrets here and here, covering all this T2 mechs construction. Means Hyaji's actually kept up remarkably with the T2 turrets, only now at the 14-minute mark, getting down the Rattlesnake. Already has a Starlight up. That's crazy. Possibly not enough forces on the board. This just blows my mind. Are you sure you're not doing communism? Because we see multiple bulls, a Starlight, and a Rattlesnake all going up at once. Also, over in the canyon opposing Panic. Panic has pretty much won that at this time. We see a sniping pin here from Spooky Dookie, moving forward with the Wasps, going for, I imagine, the Commander. Look at this. Down the Commander goes. The Wasps still survive another day to take down this advanced construction plant. But we see the response from the fighters at the same time. Panic moves in with the tank force, responded to by Tank Destroyer tanks. The advanced vehicle plant does not survive, however. Is it worth it moving up the advanced vehicle plant? All these players say yes, including Hyaji. Me, the jury's out there. So a massive setback here from the North team. The South team has turned around this game with the outflanking of the Commander. Somehow Tank Destroyer has got his Commander back. I don't really understand. But Hyaji and Spooky Dookie and Panic have all colluded to essentially annihilate the enemy rainbow. You want to make the enemy team sad, you take away their rainbow. And now their life is monotone. We see here Vivi07 getting up a Pitbull up on the high ground, which is pretty cool actually. I didn't realise you could do it, but apparently Vivi07 has found out a way to get the T2 constructor to actually build this up here. What a cool trick. This is going to be a very powerful defence. I don't know how it's going to go up against the long-range rockets that seem to be pelting Vivi, but who knows. As the game evolves into the T2 part of it here, we see a fair number of banishes backed up, interestingly, by poison arrows. I've never actually seen this before. This is a very interesting combination. Look how many there are. There are 5 poison arrows so far. So purple is trying out something, must work for them. I will say this, if we want to compare this quickly between tanks, the poison arrow costs basically what a bull does. The bull has about a bull's DPS, doesn't have quite the area of effect, I don't think. Definitely not as fast. But the one area they're a bit better on is they have a little bit more health. It doesn't look like a lot, does it? Interestingly, why is all the health so different? This bull's killed 22 units. That's why. But if we look at this, it's about the 4,500 range compared to 6,300. Also, they match the banishes in speed, so you might as well, I guess, get poison arrows. Whereas if you had tigers, say, right, the tigers would be taken off all the time. Well, they wouldn't necessarily, you just formation move them, but maybe these are a little bit better bang for your buck. I don't know. You guys tell me. They seem to have a reasonable range on them, 575. Maybe that's the reason for them. So a long-range force here that's quite pesky. It's taking out quite the number of ticks. We see here Hyaji moving forward again onto the bulls with ticks. Seems to do a remarkable job. Also the banishes really starting to take a toll. So the 17-minute 30 mark, the Bulls are already seemingly obsolete. Definitely against this force, although we will see Banisher get taken down here by the Mausers. Arguably the counter to this force, but the poison arrows here are going to roll over these purple tanks. The response by Bully Bonker is the fast units for these poison arrows getting a little bit close, backed up by the beamer. The poison arrows mostly rebuffed. Look at this area of effect. The poison arrows are going to carry the day here, I do believe, as these units move back and forth. The gauntlet getting super healed. Is it going to survive? No, it didn't. Hayaji now breaks through, sees this opportunity. Again, the advanced vehicle lab goes down, moving into this mini turret forest. That was a good vision there from Hayaji, reading the play. But the enemy air, the northern team air here, Flying Fluger, is right on point with these Shuriken. Very solid play from Flying Fluger, who is a 4-chef. We see here a lot of maces moving up for a big attack. Didn't seem to go too well, did it? At the 18-minute 30 mark. Badly obsoleted is the Mace-Eye. Oh yes, and here we see the Pitbull wreckage. So unfortunately it was made a little bit too late. It's interesting, if you could rush that and put a radar on it or something, I'm sure it would be very good. It'd be very handy for at least a few minutes. Look at this bull force here from Panic up against a mass of Shurikens. We see a couple going down, but there's 12 bulls. Really committed to them across the whole line has the southern team with their vehicles. But they are up against the team of Tank Destroyer, so Spooky Dookie pushing forward and getting rid of those forward-acting Shuriken. But definitely we see a very light force here from Spooky Dookie, who's going minimal air and really ecoing up. Wow, we already see one Aphis down almost a second, just before the 20-minute mark. And look at this turret forest. Over in the canyon now, we do see the Sheldons from Hayes moving forward under the cover of Mammoths. Quite an advanced attack for the 20-minute stage. Also utilising Grave Robbers directly behind the Mammoths. It's going to be a very solid attack from Hayes. Aren't these Arbiters annoying? I don't know what the Southern Canyon is going to do. We don't really see a decent response to this. Now we're seeing some Fat Boys come out. Maybe the Fat Boys will be able to deal with this. Both canyons struggling in the face of high OS pressure. So some very efficient repairs here we see from the Grave Robbers up against these Fat Boys. Vivi moving forward with the Commander though will take down those Mammoths beautifully before sacrificing himself. I think it was definitely worth it. But Smile Hayes is going to be right onto the... Oh no, the Fat Boys are actually fending off. Might be able to reclaim the Commander here. Big force of pawns. Look at them get taken down at once by the rocket fire. Unbelievable. Very heavily contested. No, I think it was their own Fat Boys blew them apart. Oh no. Another attack of the poison arrows moving up against this line of pawns. Pawns actually managing to snare a couple of poison arrows backed up by the Starlights, however, do rebuff this attack easily. Very solid and takey frontline indeed. Also, the Mammoths now regroup and push forward with a fair number of them. Backed up by the Sheldons, we now have 4 Fat Boys here, fending off from this advanced bot lab. Will it be enough? Perhaps not. The friendly fire is immense. Oh no, the Arbiters are attacking this advanced bot lab. Aren't going to survive. There we go, we see it go down. No, now we see Brown's Marauder push, who has replaced the Blitzers with Marauders. A much more effective tactic. At the 22-minute mark or 23-minute mark on the front line has been has completely missed T2 to go straight into Marauders, I think. That is early. We see a breakthrough. Not going to come through where the Pitbulls and Pulsar is, but we're going to go through this lane here, which I always think should be tunneled out by the Commander to stop the Marauders outflanking. This is an absolute disaster for the South team. Here we see the whole economy getting taken apart. Only the reactors barely hanging on for life, as the Marauders do not waste any time whatsoever. But we see a backup Marauder coming down, and we'll finish off the rest of the base. Air goes down. Spooky Dookie's energy converter farm absolutely annihilated. All the turrets chain react. The compact base is its undoing by all self-immolating. At least the aphises stay online. So Spooky Dookie, for all practical purposes, is now out of the fight, with Flying Fluger getting the run of the map. The attack continues from Hayes, the slow grind forward, and I believe we see this canyon now is completely pulled apart. On the opposite number, we now see some vanguards, some defensive marauders from White Syrup. So it's not all over, but I think the North Canyon is going to be able to hold on as we see an interesting matchup of the marauders attacking this vanguard, managing to at least nab one, the one on the extreme top of the hill remaining safe so far. I believe just a matter of time before enemy air takes this down, however, or there's some other response. So here we see the Southern team's Tech Justica taking on this massive orange team by himself. But it's not going to be enough. Offensive play of Shurikens making full advantage of the fact Spooky Dookie is mostly out of the picture here. And it's interesting to see them at the 25-minute mark. I love to see offensive Shurikens being moved like this. We see very expensive Razorbacks being absolutely nullified here. Now Tigers from Aggressor having to move in. Rainbow Lane already stretched. Now having to put up with this massive offensive. I think it's now clear that the momentum has carried with Hayes and the Northern team. Absolutely unstoppable. Metal produced, look at Hayes up here in the top, by far leading the metal produced tab. The Northern team actually starting to pull away in overall metal produced as well too, as we can expect with a dead canyon. The Southern team, the morale is so low, these vanguards are even quavering against one lone ambassador chipping away at them. So if you ever wonder if vanguards are OP, they are a little bit, but an ambassador can actually be a very efficient use of resources without a kill yet, but still very highly experienced. Left on 100 hit points, managing to evade most of the fire. How lucky is it? There we go, finally the ambassador goes down. The real action here is from Orange. We see a combined attack around both sides of the canyon, managing to get a run by yet again on poor old Spooky Dookie's base. Gets cut apart by the vanguards. An emergency roughneck up and about to try and handle some of these ground units. A Karganath. What else is going to be incoming? Look how offensive the Shuriken are. Right on the base of Spooky Dookie. This is a slap in the face. Oh no. What has Spooky Dookie done to deserve this? Yeah, Spooky Dookie calls it, says rest in peace. I think it's all over. The Karganath now ascends the hill and comes in on the other side, peppering down Aggressor's base. Face-off of Titans. We see the Razorbacks getting the surround on the Karganath, easily able to dismantle it, which one would expect. Smashing through the Sheldons. Spooky Dookie doing very well with these gifted units. So Communism has come back in the final throws, showing that it is the effective play in actual fact. I don't know, what's your thoughts on Communism in Beyond All Reason games? I think when it rushes out a T2 unit at the 5-minute mark, I don't know. It seems to ruin the meta a little bit, but I think this is absolutely fine towards the end of the game when a player like Spooky Dookie is all tapped out basically, has all this APM free to efficiently use the Razorbacks, as these just totally clear the canyon of units. Oh no, gone forward too far. Smile Hayes takes down both Razorbacks and now counterattacks with a demon. So if you ever need to counter-attack into canyon, we can see it from here, stop about here. You still might get taken out by the commander, but it's likely going to be here. Invisible is the most likely spot, but it could also be here on either side, a stealth commander. So I think up to here is fairly safe, and then pull back here to this midline and make sure you build a radar so you can see any stealth unit and not get degunned. Panic now pushing forward with a Thor into this unbelievable defense. White Syrup has built an appropriate amount of vanguards. We see about 6 here, all being gifted them. A shield rebutting the remaining vanguards from Panic. That one ambassador fending them off. It feels like we're just waiting. This is the final acts here of the Northern team. Smile Hayes coming down with the army of death at the 30 minutes. This is quite an impressive army. We see 10 T3 units and also a Razorback here from Brown. Oh, by the way, compare these to the Legion Demons, the multi-shotgun weapon suits. Demons have 1600 DPS at 60% more. And it's a giant flame, so much more superior. Slightly less health, but it costs less too, so. Now look at these. These seem reasonable in comparison. Here we go. The big final battle. Razorbacks versus the Razorback Killers. The Karganath being the massive meat shields. The one demon on the side flank. Not even needing all three. These demons pushing forward into the base, creating a dilemma for the Razorbacks who have to give chase. And completely surrounded. A win by maneuver. I think this is a good game here. Grump Aggressor calls it for a vote. Spooky Dookie's Constructors goes down once more. I think this is all over. Yeah, that's a mega explosion right there. Vote passed. I enjoyed that game, guys. I hope you did too. Remember to like and subscribe. Alright, so we see a bull here from Smile Hayes. And also produced the most resources and took the most damage. I had no idea Smile Hayes actually got this, so well done, mate. You very rarely see a player get absolutely everything. I mean, the Traitor's not really an award. I don't know why they have it there. I guess it shows a player killer up for who they are, but Koyaji, it wasn't on purpose, I am sure. But we see here Smile Hayes on all the metrics which count, even took the most damage and produced the most resources, as well as got every single award. So that was the Bull of Bulls, the ultimate Bulls. Over in the anti-Canyon position, we see 250,000 metal made. MVP goes to Smile Hayes. Outside of this, we also see Hayaji and Tank Destroyer up in the stats, and I'd have to agree they were the number 2 and 3 players. I think Hayaji might have had the edge there overall. We can see very efficient play. Hayaji was all over the map, doing a lot with not much, having to put up with Grump Aggressors, base breaking, turning the game around alongside Spooky Dookie at a critical moment. But unfortunately, the Canyon did die, and that doomed the game more than anything else. Hayaji was a little bit too far away to affect that. Tank Destroyer, though, equally was on the winning side. Very good early on pressure and pressure through the mid. Really caused a catastrophe early on, and then continued to back it up with hard-hitting units and a hard-hitting economy. In a way, making Hayes' job so easy. So I guess in the mix, I actually have to give second place to Tank Destroyer. And what's this? We see here a heap of Vanguards being put out by Tank Destroyer. You know what, Tank Destroyer, if I didn't know any better, I would think you watch my guides, to be honest with you, because it's the exact same build. The only build I preach is Tank Destroyer's building it. So we will give Tank Destroyer the Vanguard Meta Man badge, but you are second place. You've played it as well as I've ever seen. Well done, mate. And third place goes to Hayaji. Excellent play. The reason it was so a contested game, because of Hayaji using ticks brilliantly against bulls, using his own bulls to inflict massive casualties, exploiting every single opportunity available. In the end, I'll give the Ultimate Survivor badge to you, Hayaji, for your efforts rendered to the Southern team. Meant they could live another day, basically. So, well done. Hope you enjoyed the game, guys. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. Sub up to the channel. Get me up to 1,000 subs. I'll be very happy. Thanks, and see you next video.